Welcome to Major Monday for Real Estate. REBE, Real Estate and the Built Environment is what that stands for if you didn't know before this. I know some of you are probably already REBE majors, and then some of you are maybe just interested in the major. So we've got Candace, and then she brought 2 faculty members with her today. So they're going to all introduce themselves and give you a little bit of their background and background on the major. So.
Thank you, Tony. And again, I'm Candace Rusk, and I am the academic advisor at the School of Real Estate. I also work with students who are entering, if you transferred in or your first year. So I recognize several of you. It's great to see you. Our professors are going to do most of the heavy lifting today in terms of the presentation. I brought 2 of our best. This is Dr. Jeff Ingolstadt in the real estate and Dr. Eric Holt on the construction management side. Gentlemen.
Well, thank you very much. Okay, well, see now, Eric and I, we thought this was going to be 5 freshmen and a pizza, and we're going to talk about real estate and the built environment. So it turns out to be a few more than 5 freshmen, and
no pizza.
Where is the pizza? That's kind of what we're worried about. But we do have some things to go over and talk to you about. I mean, most people, you think about it, when you enter college, you're aware of finance and accounting and marketing and management. But if you went home over spring break or something and said, hey, I'm thinking about majoring in real estate, what would your friends say? They'd be like,
built environment.
Or the built environment or something like that. They'd be like, is there a program for that, or does that mean you're going to be a realtor and sell houses, and that sort of thing? It's so much more than that. And so we want to just tell you a little bit about what it's all about as a field of study and what you can expect and what you'll be doing if you become a real estate and built environment major.
And through this whole process today, that's what I tell all my classes, there's no such thing as an interruption. There's not going to be Q&A at the end. I mean, there may be, but a lot of times your questions come now, let's answer them now for the topic that's on the slide, not wait to the end and you try and tie it back in, all right? So if you've got questions, interrupt us, all right?
Hey, by the way, how many of you have a family member, uncle, aunt, parents, whatever, that is in some way involved in real estate or the built environment? All right, several hands up. Give me an idea. What does the family member do?
My dad owns a construction company.
Your dad owns a construction company. Who else had their hand up?
My dad's an electrician.
Your dad's an electrician. Okay. Who else? Some
hands.
other people had their hands up. Now they're being.
My dad owns apartments.
He owns apartments. Okay. All right. So, and oftentimes that's what happens. A lot of our majors come from, there's kind of a family connection. It's like there really is this, business of the built environment that you can get involved in. So it's interesting to see that.
The term built environment is kind of a newer term defining this construction space. And it's more than just what we build. It's everything that we live in, where we sleep, where we eat, where we go to school, where we worship, the infrastructure you drive on. If you think about it, the built environment is everything that we do in life man-made. There is not a industry, there's not a point in your life that's not been affected by the built environment. A lot of programs are true construction management. And we could name some schools, but I'm on tape and I want to do that just focus on estimating, scheduling, or just a management of a piece, where we talk about everything that affects the built environment. Residential, commercial, industrial, infrastructure, and not just the physical of putting it in place, but the management of it, the planning, the design, the financing, the whole life cycle of the built environment. Does that make sense?
Click ahead. All right, and so I think what Eric's talking about is, how does the built environment affect your life? How does it affect the way you live? How does it affect the way you work? How does it affect the way you shop? Everything that we do is affected in some way by our built environment. So what else? You want to click another one? We'll do 1 and 1.
Okay.
So now you get this one.
Well, it's easy. I'm going to ask them.
Okay.
How does the built environment affect your lives every day? And don't overthink it. You're sitting in it right now. All right? So seriously,
Like we have a ceiling over our head.
there you go.
Not everyone does, right? Yeah.
How
And-
else in your world, think about your day, how did the built environment affect it?
We live in dorms.
Yep. What else?
Shopping, grocery stores.
Yeah.
Roads and like getting places.
It's all around us, so sometimes we don't even think about it. It becomes second nature, like breathing. All right? But there's a lot of change that's happening. All right? Workload changes, school changes, things like that.
How many
Going-
of you want a job where you work in that space?
Because that can be arranged. They have places like that.
And then, you know, then to take a look at the next one, you know, how many of you see yourself working somewhere like that? That'd be a little more fun, wouldn't it? Can you be as productive in that nice open space, collaborative space as you can in cubicles? And there's a lot of research that says you can be plenty more productive in that type of space. And it doesn't matter, you don't have to be designing video games. I mean, you can be working on, you know, whatever, medical research or accounting and actually be more productive and your space actually influences how productive you might be, how healthy you might be, and how happy you might be.
So real estate firms are going to this model. Google, obviously, things like that. Is this from Google's?
That might be from Google.
Google. But even here in Denver, there are firms that are getting rid of the cubicle farms and going to a much more open, collaborative, flexible space. We're even talking about doing some of that to some of our classrooms. So, here's where we asked them about the
Yeah.
I forgot about that one.
So how do you impact the built environment? How many of you would consider yourself an environmentalist at any level? Right?
Sustainable minded.
Sustainable minded. You know, how do you impact, if we ask more question more broadly, how do you impact the environment? Can you negatively impact your environment? Can you positively impact your environment? I did a lot of environmental science stuff, and I remember go on camping trips with these people who were very environmental, and they would swallow their toothpaste in the morning, right? Get up and brush your teeth and everything, and they would swallow it. I'm like, why don't you spit your toothpaste? No, that's bad for the environment, so I'm going to swallow it, you know, kind of thing. And people are like that. But you impact your environment, whether it's a physical, whether it's a natural environment or a built environment, and your environment impacts you. Who provides all this built environment? Let's hear, there's got to be at least 20 different career positions that provide the built environment in some way, shape, or form. Can you name one of them?
Contractors?
What's that?
Contractors?
Contractors. Yeah, they put the stuff together, right? I was driving in this morning and I'm watching them put glass on a multi-story office building. It's amazing. Each piece of glass has to be craned up, put in, you know, all of that. So contractors. Who else?
What did your
What-
dad do again?
He's an electrician.
Can you imagine going anywhere where you don't flick a switch to turn lights off in your life?
You don't have controls for heat. You don't have this, that, and the other thing. What about before the contractor gets started? Do contractors just go out and start building stuff? No. They need plans and specs and all that sort of stuff. So there's architecture. And what happens before the architect gets involved?
Distributors of raw materials.
Yeah, they have to have. There has to be raw materials and all that sort of stuff. Even before that, someone has to decide that, you know what, there's a demand for office space, and we're going to fill that demand with this kind of a building. And how does that all get put together? You know, somebody's got to buy the land. Somebody's got to conceive of the project. Somebody's got to arrange the financing. What does it cost to build, you know, a pretty normal construction project, development project is in the tens of millions of dollars. And somebody's got to put all that together. They got to put the financing together. They have to have the idea. They have to get the approvals. Can you just build anything anywhere you want? No, I mean you have to comply with certain laws and gain approvals and all that stuff as well. So when you think about it, what could you do within the area of the built environment? There's a whole bunch of stuff. You might be an estimator. You might be a scheduler. You might be doing accounting for a construction firm. You might be doing financial analysis for a real estate investment trust. You might be doing analysis for real estate development, whatever it might be.
So before, we're talking about how stuff gets built. We've been hammering on this built environment. How it goes from a conceptual idea to sitting here today in a very warm, dry, tiered classroom. All right? And that is a big focus on our major in our program here at the Daniels Reeby program. Who comes up with these ideas? All right? Now, we don't have a design program, but we do talk about and teach a lot and interact with architects, engineers, interior designers, because we're going to have to work in their world in the built environment. All right? They are an intermediary a lot of time between the owner and the conceptual of the design and us who are going to build it, and in between their product, their work, we need it to pull permit, to do financing, to do the estimate, takeoff, schedule. They are an integral part of our world. And so we focus on, even in one of the classes, how do you read their product? How do you read plans? How do you interpret specs and construction drawings? But also, how do you interact with them? Because they speak a very different language than us. Very, very technical, very, very artistic at times. And so you have to interact with them and work with them as they come up with their crazy ideas that we get to put into reality. All right?
All right, and then how does the money flow? When we talked about this, there's the built environment is very expensive. And there's a lot of money involved in real estate development projects, construction projects, and things like that. It takes people that have those financial skills to be able to project a pro forma into the future. It takes a long time to build stuff. When you talk about building an individual building, it might take a year or two. You talk about taking 25 acres of ground, which we're working on a project right now. We got about 25 acres of ground up in Globeville. Anybody know where Globeville is? Globeville is the most polluted zip code in the country, right? And so this is where the Asarco smelter was, all kinds of horrible, horrible stuff. And we've got 25 acres that we're planning. That plan and build out of somewhere like Globeville or somewhere like Rhino or something like that takes 10, 20, 30 years. And it all has to be financed for that long period of time. Projects have to come in and come out and that sort of stuff. So when you think about this process of real estate development, it really is one of the last areas of business that that is truly interdisciplinary. I mean, you're working with marketing and branding one day, and finance and accounting one day, and actual physical construction one day. And so I think for people that are involved in it, it's very exciting. It's also very risky.
And then sustainability. That is everybody's top of their mind now as they look at projects. You guys are going to be some of the first generation where it's just a normal part of your everyday thinking. Where Jeff and I's generation, I came from the time where we didn't care about sustainability or green building in my industry background. All right?
He didn't.
So, how do you measure it? How do you discuss it? How do you measure it? How do you make sure you're implementing it? And so this is what we preach here, is the triple bottom line. Yes, everybody wants to save green, build green, things like that, but you've got to make sure economically it works. Is it feasible? Environmentally, it's got to perform. And sociably, it's got to make sense in everybody's world. And so we really look at all the aspects of sustainability, not just, does that piece of carpet have low VOCs compared to this other carpet or things like that. We're always analyzing the whole big picture holistically, looking at the process and the building and the people involved and the finances to make sure that across the whole project spectrum, it's sustainable.
When we look at real estate projects from this lens of, economic performance and environmental and social and things like that. You try to think about how different the built environment is today than it was 50 years ago. Try to think about what's going to change in your lifetime, what you're going to have an impact on in the next 20, 30, 50 years. What do you suppose? Pick a property type. Residential is probably the easiest. Where people live, how does it look how is it going to look different 25 years from now as opposed to today? Anybody have any ideas, any thoughts on that?
I think there's gonna be a lot less suburbs, and it's gonna be a little bit more like, focused on the cities. So like a lot more like multi-story buildings as opposed to like single family homes.
Okay, so maybe a lot more density. Millennials really don't like the suburbs for some reason. You guys all grew up in them, but you don't really like them. And it's like, you know why? Because suburbs are boring, they're bland, they're single use, they're single, everybody in, pick on Highlands Ranch. They all have about the same house, are built about the same time. They all make about the same money. They all drive about the same car. How much fun is that? We don't like that, right? We want things that have a mix of uses, a mix of incomes, a mix of experiences, and things like that. Think about physically how housing units can change. Do you think they're going to get bigger, smaller, taller, wider, redder? I mean, what do you think? Yeah.
I think they're gonna become more creative, so then they save more space, but like can still feel big, but not necessarily are as a large square footage wise.
Okay. Yeah, I think the idea of just having as big a house as you can possibly have is a little passé. What people want now is something that really functions well, and something that is being a little more, maybe a little more friendly to the environment, maybe a little more friendly to this idea of more mixed use and dense living, is that not everybody needs 4,000 square feet. We can get by in smaller places and things like that. How many of you have heard about the tiny house movement? Anybody heard of a tiny house? Anybody want to live in a tiny house?
Anybody want to build one?
Yeah.
We're going to do it here next month.
Yeah, next month we're actually going to build a tiny house. I had to spend the night in a tough shed one time because I'd done something wrong. And so that's really about the closest I've ever come to living in a tiny house, and as close as I ever want to come. But well, think about shopping. Our malls, Park Meadows Mall, Cherry Creek Mall, all these malls, are they going to be around 50 years from now, or are they going to be replaced with something else? What do you think? What is the internet doing to that?
Nobody's gonna shop at malls anymore.
What's that?
Nobody's gonna go out and shop anymore, so they'll be replaced with housing, restaurants maybe.
Well, it's really changed. It's really changed already. In fact, if you talk to the people who own the Park Meadows Mall, and if you call it a mall, they correct you. And they say, no, we're not a mall. We're a retail resort. Okay, I'll go with that. But no, the idea is it's a place where you will go and you'll congregate, and you'll go and look at stuff at the Apple store, and you might go look at stuff, but the individual retailers don't need to be that big. They don't need to have a bunch of stuff there, because you'll be able to get it, flown in by drone to your house that afternoon if you want it. But it'll be a place where you congregate, a place where you experience things. We're totally different from kind of a shopping center of 25 years ago. Think about office space. Traditional office space was 4 walls, a desk, big file cabinets, that kind of, a traditional office. People don't really want to work like that. People don't really need to work like that. People have everything they want, right here. Remember, we got our first computer this is back in the early 80s, and we got a computer, and I was working in a real estate development company, and this other young guy and I at the time, we were talking about how cool that computer was because it had a 10 megabyte hard drive. And we were sitting there saying to each other, you could fill this room with files, and that still wouldn't be 10 megabytes. That's where we were at that point. And so now where have we become? And, how many of you think that you will get up and go to an office every single day of your life, your working life? Nobody does anymore. 25 years ago, everybody did. So the built environment has to change for, these changing tastes and things like that as well.
So we've got majors and tracks and concentrations within real estate and the built environment. Obviously, real estate, and that is your specialty.
So real estate, what might you do? You might be an analyst. A lot of people go out with a real estate degree as an analyst. You go and work for a pension fund or a developer or something, and you're an acquisitions analyst. And so, what an analyst is someone who is, chained to their desk running Excel models. I mean, it's not a terribly glamorous job. That's kind of how you get started, right? In real estate, and then you move up from there, kind of thing.
If you don't like people, that's where you start.
even if you really do, it's just kind of one of those doing, putting in your time kind of things. Some people want to go into brokerage. Some people want to go into real estate brokerage. Commercial real estate brokerage can be extremely lucrative, as can residential, and it's very competitive. I've had a lot of former athletes, a lot of college athletes find themselves really liking something like brokerage because it is, it's like you eat what you kill, and it's very intensely competitive, and the rewards are big, and that sort of stuff. And back in the old days, you used to think of brokerage as a business that didn't require a lot of technical knowledge. It does now. I mean, brokers, by and large, have advanced degrees and designations and things like that. You might be an appraiser. You might be someone who really wants to look at analyze what things are worth. Maybe you'll be on the lending side and you'll be doing loans for big shopping centers and things like that. Or you might be acquiring on behalf of a company or even on behalf of yourself. You might be acquiring and investing in real estate assets and disposing of those completely on your own.
Property development is a mix between both worlds, because we get into here at our program, yes, we're going to build a tiny home for real. And we talk about the residential market, and we have classes specifically geared for that. But we also look at mixed use, which is go drive around Denver all over the place. You've got bagel stores and coffee shops on one level, and then you've got apartments and stuff above there. And so that whole, I don't have to go very far outside my apartment building to get my groceries and my gas and my food and stuff like that. That is a very big, not just in Denver, but across the nation, a big business model, because you've got different industry and asset classes all tied in one building. Rents are down, but we're making a lot of money off Einstein's, and vice versa. All right, so you have an asset class that has a lot of lower risk because of all the different income pockets out of it. And then we look at big shopping centers and resorts and even tall office buildings. And so looking at all sorts of different ways to develop a piece of property based on zoning, based on market analysis and need, based on potential income. There's a lot of things that you learn here. And then we slide into the project delivery. They've done the market analysis. They know what they want to build. They have engaged a design firm, and they have plans and specs. They can't build it without us. They need us in the project delivery, in the actual scheduling, estimating, and delivery of it. And we look at all the different methods in the delivery. There's not just one traditional bid, build it, or estimate, bid, build, take off, where you are going through a whole project delivery model, and depending on the needs of the client, the schedule, the financing, there's a lot of different ways to actually get the project built.
How many of you, have any of you ever been on a construction site, a very active, big mixed use, high rise kind of construction site? A couple of people have. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? People are running around this place. They're going on the little elevator up to the 40th floor and doing this. And I mean, it's absolutely chaos. It's like flies going all around. And yet they all know what they're doing. And everything has to be coordinated. You have to do what you're going to do before I can do what I'm going to do. And we don't even work for the same company. All this kind of stuff. I mean, the idea of delivering projects, building stuff, and we're going to demonstrate it very simply with a tiny house. The tiny houses don't build themselves. Neither do big office buildings and big vertical mixed-use projects. All right, so we talked about some of this already. I mean, what are you going to do if you are a major in real estate and the built environment? What we want what we want you to be is one of the leaders in this industry in the coming decades. We're not trying just to equip you to go and take a rut that's already been created and make it deeper. I mean, we want you to change the world. This is what it's all about. You're the ones who are going to make the decisions about how do people live, how do people study, why do we have classrooms that look like this, that kind of stuff. You guys are going to be making those decisions, and it might be in the context of something else. Maybe you work for a big corporation, and yet you're handling their real estate. We have people that think about it, a bunch of former graduates that run real estate for Continental Airlines or for, I can't remember, United Airlines, whatever it is. And it's like you think about it, you're an airline, but you know what? They've got a bunch of real estate. A former student runs real estate for Capital One, the credit card company. Well, if you're a credit card company, you have to have a big campus and all that sort of stuff. Someone's got to run all of that real estate. Real estate in built environment is really a high risk, high reward kind of a thing. Contractors and developers might be doing really well at one point, and then they might be just about on their ear at another point. You really have to have, I think you have to have an aptitude that you're willing to take risks, and that you don't, there are jobs within the industry where you work, you get a paycheck, but really the more fun activities around our industry have a lot of risk involved with them.
Yeah. And the skills that you bring to the industry and learn here, a lot of critical thinking, problem solving. That's all that is. But it's also very hands-on. Whether you're in the office or whether you're out in the field, both of it is problem solving and hands-on application of your skills. So if you like to think and work through things, but you also like to work with your hands, work with groups, those are the skill sets and those that really draw to our majors. All right?
So some of the common career paths you can see here, maybe you'll be a broker, maybe you'll be a developer, maybe you'll be a project manager, maybe you'll be a builder, maybe you'll go out on your own and build custom homes. Who knows? It really is. Our students that graduate from our program, there's kind of a fork in the road as to whether I'm going to kind of go more corporate or more entrepreneurial. Very different kind of job sets there, there's not really kind of a single path that you take, where there might be in some other business disciplines.
Yeah, you can be very successful in either the corporate or the entrepreneurial world. And a lot of students may go the corporate track for a while, gain a lot of experience, and then start their own business. That happens a lot. It's very easy in construction to do that.
Is it common to see someone go to a regular job where they just go and get a paycheck, but also at the same time start their own something on the side?
Yep, you can do that in real estate very, very easily. You can do that in parts of the industry of construction, especially remodeling, home building. So definitely.
And sometimes people that were basically tradespeople end up being developers. End up actually putting together, being a builder. Started as a contractor, started as an electrician, and then ended up putting together the whole team and doing everything. So it can happen.
A lot of the builders you even talked to started out sweeping the houses out as interns, and now they are CEOs of construction companies. It's a very, very easy track to follow and get started and start on your own.
All right, some of the classes in the major. On the real estate side, you take a lot of finance-related classes. And in fact, there's a lot of students that will do a finance major and a real estate minor, or they'll do a real estate major and a finance minor, kind of thing, because there's a lot of financial overlap. In many universities, they don't have a special program in real estate or real estate in the built environment. They might have some real estate classes as part of their finance curriculum. And so that's why there's a real tie-in there with finance. But it's not just finance. It's market feasibility and development and investment analysis and taxation. And there's all of these different things that it touches. On the construction side?
On the construction side, you start out with architectural planning and design management. How to purchase design services and talk to architects, but how to read plans. If you know how to read plans, that is a basic foundational in our industry. And if you can't read construction documents, dimensions, details, things like that, you're going to be hampered in the industry. All right. We do just general construction project management. If you think about this, it's a specialized business degree in construction industry, which is multi-billion-dollar industry, depending on what segment you're in. All right. Residential development takes a look at developing raw land into subdivisions. Because we're a real estate-based major, we're one of the few programs in the nation that has a residential development class and focus. Construction building systems, everything from land development to foundations to floor systems, wall systems, roof systems, finishes. How do these systems and what are in these systems, new technology, stuff that's been around since the Roman times, and how do they integrate together? All right. Environmental systems and MEP. Does anybody know what MEP stands for? Mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Our industry has too many TLAs, three-letter acronyms, and you got to learn that language, and you got to learn all those because you're going to be spitting them out like crazy as you go through. And then just basic construction job site management. You know, looking at specifically on the field, how do you keep it clean? How do you manage all the flies buzzing around the job site, getting everything put in place?
You know, and if you think about your undergraduate education as a pie, about half of that pie is general ed. And that's where you're taking, you know, cell biology and English and all of that sort of stuff, right? That's about half of that pie. The other half of that pie is when you're in the business college. And so half of the remaining half is your business core. And that's where you're going to learn about finance, accounting, marketing, management, statistics, all of the business disciplines. And then that last quarter is your major, right? And so I think what we offer is a very distinctive major. Now, it doesn't mean that you didn't have accounting. It doesn't mean you didn't have marketing and management and all those other things. You know, what you major in college is not a life sentence. I know guys that are big commercial contractors who are CPAs. I know guys that are big developers who were lawyers, you know, kind of thing. And so, you know, it doesn't set you you know, apart for life kind of thing. But it really is an opportunity to have a major with a real broad interdisciplinary kind of distinctive area.
So we've got a lot of different career paths listed up here, and this is just scratching the surface. All right, especially in the entrepreneurial age and the mindset that we try and teach you guys in critical thinking. There are career paths that are around now that 5 years ago, because of technology changes, weren't even there yet, that are here now. And so as we watch the technology, we can't even keep up with it in textbooks, how fast it's growing. And you guys are some of the first generation that gets to experience that and push that forward, how that's going to change in the built environment. And there may be job career paths and stuff like that that come about in your time here in college that you didn't even know existed, that we don't even know existed.
So you take a look at some of these. These are, you know, course names, and it's like, you know, it's like, yes, I took accounting 1 and accounting 2, and I also took, you know, real estate investment seminar and planning entitlements and public finance. You know, I mean, that's a very drill down kind of an approach here. And so these are some of the courses that you might take if you concentrate in real estate, or if you concentrate in development, or if you concentrate in project delivery. So we really have kind of 3 areas that you go. You know, kind of the first thing is, yeah, I think I want to be a REBI major. And then the second thing is, what kind of REBI major do you want to be? You want to be more on the real estate kind of finance focus? Do you want to be more on the property development or more on the project delivery focus? And those are courses in those areas.
And you can take those as majors and then pick up another one as a minor, which makes you very, very valuable out there in industry because you've got different skill sets that somewhere else at another big, and I'll pick on my alma mater at Purdue University, you are just a construction management estimator or scheduler. And you don't have the leadership, business, other sides, marketing, accounting that you get here. And so they get very, very pigeonholed in their jobs.
All right, we have a bunch of student groups and professional associations. In terms of real estate, NAILP is a commercial real estate development organization. They're very strong. We have a very strong connection with them. Here's another thing. If you're doing this major, you're going to be out in the field. You're going to be working with professionals. You're going to be doing projects. It's very project-based what we do. We work with the Colorado Association of Real Estate Investors, the Denver Commercial Association of Realtors, the CCIM organization out of Chicago, which I'm very involved in, and we have, and so there's a lot of opportunity for you to become a student member of some organizations for networking purposes, finding out what some of these career fields are, and all that sort of stuff. On the construction side,
Design Build Institute of America, a very specific project delivery model to the point it has its own association. All right. Construction Management of America, CMAA, looks at the commercial side of things. National Association of Home Builders, NAHB, very much focused on the residential industry of our market. Associated General Contractors of America kind of covers commercial, light commercial, heavy commercial. What's neat about all of these organizations is not only are they a tick on your resume and they get you involved and industry professionals mentoring you, they all have student competitions that go with them. And so during your college career, you have the opportunity to set yourself apart from your peers and participate. Every year, there's 4, 5, 6 of them now that we're doing this year that give you a very intense, almost real-world workshop or internship experience. And if you totally screw it up, you didn't hurt it. You didn't cost anybody any money. You don't get sued, but you learn a ton. And it is what really sets you apart from not only your peers that don't participate here at this college, but also your peers at other colleges. And contractors look at these extracurricular activities. And yes, if you can say you were in the top 3, that's fantastic. But you also get huge points for just participation. And the learning, and I got to confess this, sometimes you'll learn more from these than you will from my talking head in a classroom, because it's real world application of what we discussed in the classroom. That's what drives that learning home. And so we highly encourage you guys to be involved in those.
all right, some other things that we do. We have company job information sessions. And so when you get to be junior, senior, and you're really starting to think about a job, right? You guys are probably not thinking about that yet, right? I remember when I finished my sophomore year of college, I was literally thinking to myself, how can I prolong this? I never want to be anywhere else but college, right? It's so much fun. And I finished my junior year of college. It was like, how do I get the heck out of here? I want to get a job. I want to make some money. I want to go on to the next chapter of my life, right? And so when you get to that point, and you're an upperclassman kind of thing, we have these company information sessions. It might be a big general contractor. It might be a development company. It might be a corporate real estate concern, something like that. And they come and they do kind of a tell a little bit about their company, and always they're looking for interns. And so you get an internship, which leads to a job, and that sort of stuff. You want to talk about the Home Builders Career Fair?
Yeah, so we
project?
not only try and get you involved with industry through these info sessions, we actually have career fairs. So March 2nd, so this Thursday, we have a Home Builders Career Fair in Marcus Commons. Everybody know where Marcus Commons is? Have you been over at Daniels at all? Okay, from 1 to 3:30, and you're all invited. All right? I know that, some of you may not have truly been in our major yet, but if you want to come check out, we've got 21 home builders that are going to be there, local Denver ones, regional ones, national firms, looking for interns. And they're not just looking for CM majors. Marketing, finance, real estate, sales, they all hire out of Daniels. So I encourage you, if you're not doing anything on Thursday, bring your resume, dress to the nines, come out 1 to 3:30 in Marcus Commons and meet with builders. Start talking to them. It's good practice for you. It'll be a great opportunity for them to review your resume. Worst case, you get an internship or a job out of the deal. I can't promise you anything, but that's what it's for. And so we do this on a regular basis. We're here to get you guys jobs and sell you.
And it's a really cool idea to get an internship early on. A lot of times students will think, especially just getting started, it's like, well, I don't have any qualifications for an internship. You know what? You know what you need for a qualification for an internship is that you're responsible, you show up, you're a hardworking person. You know, it's not that they're not going to ask you to design a building, right? And so, you know, I would say the sooner you get into an industry internship, the more relevant the rest of your business education becomes.
They understand you don't know anything. They want that. They don't want someone with a lot of head knowledge and trash that they got to relearn. It's for your learning, so we highly encourage that. All right. Other things we do. So every year, and it's coming up March 31st. Again, this is a promo to invite you to play with us. We're going to physically build a tiny house on campus. Over here, if I get my bearings right, in front of the library, it is just an 8x12 garden shed. It's going to be on a trailer. What's unique about it is we're going to pre-panelize it with students at a factory here in town, bring it out and put it together in a day. It only weighs about 3,000 pounds, but I got a 42,000 ton crane to come out and lift it all up and put it in pieces. Again, to practice, as we build a tiny house, lifting, safety, coordination, things like that. Make it feel like a real construction site. We make you wear PPE and everything. Personal protective equipment. So again, those are things that you can get involved with now. A lot of people, again, I gotta wait till I'm in the major. No, come now, come play with us. If you're interested, these are again things on your resume, experiences and learning. It's part of your career. It's very, very important here at Daniels.
And we have other competitions. We have one that's mentioned here that we do with the International Council of Shopping Centers on a retail real estate case. And it's a competition. It's really, really fun. And other competitions with ASC and NAHB and just field trips that we do that might be outside of class, going in, because how are you going to learn how things are built? You really kind of need, you don't want to study it in a book. You really want to go and look at it,
Yeah.
right? And how are you going to figure out how do you develop a property and all that sort of stuff? It really is a field-oriented approach that we take in all of our coursework as well. So, that's it.
There's our contact information. We've got business cards up here. I think we've got some pictures, like examples that we were talking about. The Playhouse that we built last year. That's the size of it. Obviously, you don't need a crane for that, but we used it anyway. And what was great about it, this last here, that's the family we built it for. It's not working. Oh, it's on TV. This is the family we built it for. To get it into their backyard, we had to pick it up off the street, sky it over 2 fences, 3 trees, and drop it 2 houses over. Need the crane then. So
You just did that so you could use the crane.
I really did. So
And so we built that for the Wounded Warrior Project and things like that. So I mean, it's very cool stuff we can do.
we try and get you guys doing hands-on things, not just in the classroom. Another is our NHB student chapter. Every year in the fall, we get a development project to work on. And the students work all fall on it. It's a 100-page business case. In this case, it was 34 acres in Atlanta, Georgia, that they had to sales and marketing, product development, land development, the horizontal construction estimate and schedule, the vertical build estimate and schedule, and put it together with a whole pro forma, say, what kind of money can we make off this project? Submit that to the judges at the end of the quarter, and then went to the International Builders Show in Orlando, Florida for a week, first week of winter quarter, and presented it before the judges, and then walked through the International Builders Show, which is the largest construction trade show in North America. Depending on who you talk to, some 85 to 120,000 people were there this past year. 5 football fields of trade show to walk through. We got second place. Last year we got first place. Year before that we had fourth, and then the year before that third. So we place in the top 4, top 5 pretty consistently in a lot of these competitions. And again, it's on your resume. Very elite and great learning experience. Questions? How many are like first year students?
I think almost everybody.
Okay, so that's part of the, so.
I just have a comment. You have a very active alumni base, do you not, in your department?
Yes.
We do. We have a very active alumni group because here's one thing that happens. How many of you are not from Denver? Who's not from Denver? Okay, a lot of people not from Denver. And you know what happens? You come to DU to go to school, and you don't want to leave Colorado, right? You don't want to leave Denver. That's very typically what happens. And so if you look at the real estate and construction kind of industry all up and down the Front Range, it's just filled with DU people, and which really makes it kind of cool. Anything else? The other thing I'd say is, actually, Eric and I don't get paid anymore if we get more majors. I don't know what they do.
Not part of my-
Yeah, we tried to work that out where we got a commission, but that didn't work out. And but honestly, you know what? You think about this is actually a really cool. It's a different type of major, and if it's not for you as a major, it might be for you as a minor. And I think about this: finance majors are a dime a dozen. Finance majors that have a minor in real estate now have another area of focus. Same thing with accounting, same thing with marketing or management. It's like, okay, marketing. Oh, but I also have a degree in, also have this background in the built environment, and so I know about branding residential subdivisions and that sort of stuff too. So as a minor, it's a good adjunct to anything else that you might do. All right, what else? Where's the pizza?
Yeah, where's the pizza? Just a few other things. I work, as I said, as the academic advisor, and I work with a lot of you that are coming in. And we have a few courses that I think are pretty unique, and it would give you an opportunity to explore our area. Real estate in the built environment. It's REAL 1700. You can take it in your first year. You can take it in your second year. There aren't any prereqs for the course, and it would give you a chance to explore what the major is all about. In addition to that, it's called CMGT 2300. It's the Construction Management 2300. That's the architectural planning and design management class that Eric teaches. No prereqs. So as a first year student, as a second year student, you could take either of those. And then one real exciting feature too, if you're thinking about it for a minor, is we just added the principles class, principles of real estate, back into all of our minors. We have 3 minors: real estate, property development, and construction project management. Just as we have those 3 concentrations, we have the 3 minors. We have close to, I think, over 50, 55 minors. We have students that actually choose us from all over the university. It's kind of amazing. I have students from international studies, I have students from English, communications, philosophy. So it's not necessarily just Daniel students who would choose real estate as a minor. But that's certainly an option. As a matter of fact, of our graduate, we have an MS REBE program. It's a master's program, in addition to the undergraduate. And of our entering, I think we had 26 last fall. 6 of the 26 had been minors. They were minors. And suddenly it's like, I really love this, and I'm kind of getting interested, and it's close to senior year, and I want to stay with it. So there's a lot of options, and a lot of, I think, opportunities to explore us, before you kind of make your decision. And that's what first year is about, I think. You should be exploring and considering, all of the areas. And the brochure that I gave you, it's actually very well done. It was designed by our graphics person, but it's a real good tool for you because the concentrations that Dr. Engelstad and Eric mentioned are listed for you with all of those classes. Another piece to this is I am the academic advisor. So if you do come into the program, I will meet with you every single quarter, and believe me, I really will meet with each and every one of you. And I will reach out and I'll take you through course by course. We'll follow the track. I won't let you get off the major, so that you'll be able to complete your degree on time and then select another minor as well.
Candace really does. She meets with every single one of our students every quarter. She's like, how's your mom? Are you still with that girl? It's incredible. But it really is. It really is. Our students who are real estate and built environment majors, they come hang around the office and they're working there and that sort of stuff. I mean, it really is, it's a very nice atmosphere.
Well, I think there's a real sense of community in this particular department, and one of the things that I've noticed, like those photographs of the Playhouse last year, it's a service project. So it's an opportunity for you to give back. Last year, as Jeff mentioned, it was for the Wounded Warrior Project. This year, it's for
We're working with a couple homeless shelters
homeless shelters in
to build a
Denver.
tiny house village.
So it
for
has a
them.
really important, goal and objective, and you would be assisting with that. And we are gonna adorn it. It's not gonna stay a garden shed. We're gonna put shutters and window, things like that.
It'll be pretty, I promise.
That's right. But the students come out for the day, March 31st, they work all day, build it, they do it together. And it's a lot of fun to do. That's when you bond with each other. And that's how you get to know your peers in the group.
It's a chance to get to know kind of what the major's more about. And you guys are all invited. I just passed out my business card for you so that you can, if you're interested, email me so I can make sure you're on the mailing list and stuff like that. So there's going to be a sign up for it. You can find out the times. Same thing on the career fair this Thursday. You're invited. Come check it out. All right? This is part of your fact-finding mission this first year to figure out where you want to be. So come see all of it.
Any other questions about classes that you would take or any other? So if you're thinking about it, definitely include REAL 1700, and that's Business of the Built Environment. No prereqs. It's a great business elective. And then there's a couple in addition to that. But it would be a real good introduction for you, I think, as well.
So you guys are almost 2 quarters in.
Yeah.
How do you like it?
Yeah, how do you like it?
College is actually the best 6 years of your life.
Was for you.
All right. Anything else for us? Tony, you have anything?
Thank you so much.